Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Big Ten Under 10 on the Hoosier Network. I'm Adam Oppenheim. He is Graham Nash. We have a bit of a different show today. Usually, we would start with basketball, but it is now over as UConn beat South Carolina in the national championship. So instead today, we will begin on the diamond with softball. Here are your recent scores in the Big Ten. Fifth-ranked Oregon had a really competitive series against Michigan, but it ended in a sweep. Ducks over the Wolverines 3-2, 5-4, and 9-1. Number 8, UCLA jumped all over 22nd-ranked Ohio State in a two-game set, winning 14-6 and 7-0. 21st-rated Nebraska just destroyed Iowa and Iowa City in the first two games, winning by a combined score of 26-1. The Hawkeyes do salvage a game in the series, grabbing Game 3 5-2. A couple other notable teams that are unranked in the Big Ten. The Northwestern Wildcats took 2 out of 3 from the Illini at home in Evanston. Finally, Washington swept a pesky Wisconsin team 3-2 in 10 innings and 6-2 in games 2 and 3. Graham, we're going to turn to you. I want to talk about the Michigan-Oregon series. Michigan got swept, but does that make you more or less confident in them?
I would say my thoughts haven't really changed much on Michigan. They've proven that they can hang tough with the best team in the Big Ten, arguably in Oregon, but they didn't win. They were close. They lost 2 games by 1 run each time, but they couldn't get over that ledge and get their win. There's a point where, and it's hard to say because it's going to come with time. There's a point where they're going to have to win the close games. This is something we talked about last week. But I think that comes with time. That's why I'm not too concerned. What's concerning is the way that they lost the second game. The first game, Michigan just couldn't claw back. They answered every call that Oregon made, but then Oregon got the last say in the bottom of the 7th. In the second game, Michigan was leading 4-2 through the top of the last inning, and then they started to make mistakes. Durkowski, who was on the mound, hit 2 players by a pitch to load the bases, then got a ground out. Then she walked Riley McCoy, who I would probably walk her as well. She's probably going to be at least the Big Ten Freshman of the Year, maybe the National Freshman of the Year. And that loaded the bases again, and then threw a wild pitch that tied the game. All Oregon had to do with 1 out was get a single. That's exactly what happened. So that's where there's some concern, is not being able to close out when you do have a 2-run lead, and frankly, you don't like to say it, but choking the lead at the very last minute. But they were close. They had an opportunity to win, and so that's why I think they can still hang around.
Now, there was only one ranked series in the Big Ten this past weekend. That was UCLA and Ohio State. UCLA just flat out dominated the Buckeyes. What did you see in that series?
Yeah, it was kind of an unfortunate sequence of events, quite frankly, for Ohio State, where their defense stalled in Game 1, and then their offense stalled in Game 2. It was kind of like the worst thing that could happen against the UCLA Bruins. The Buckeyes led the first game, and then they got run ruled. It was kind of like UCLA scored 8 runs in the bottom of the second. Just like that can't happen. UCLA had 14 hits. Half of those were for extra bases. So it wasn't just like, oh, UCLA got single, worked their way around. They were hitting for power every single time. 2 doubles, 1 triple, and 4 home runs in one game. That's a lot. And then in Game 2, Ohio State only had 1 hit. They could not get it going offensively at all. They pitched UCLA into 4 scoreless frames, but then couldn't back it up with offense of their own. They went 1 for 22 with 10 strikeouts. It was just kind of a tale of 2 games. They couldn't get it all together.
Well, right now, it seems like it's Oregon and UCLA atop the Big Ten. Let's change gears to another sport. It's been a while since we have covered golf, but we now present you scores from the past week. The Rutgers Invitational ended up in the Scarlet Knights winning their own event at 29 over par. The next closest was Seton Hall, who finished the event at 59 over par. In the Maryland Invitational, 4 Big Ten teams participated. Michigan finished in first place at 13 over, with the hosting team Maryland ending up in 4th. Penn State finished in 8th, while Nebraska was 11th out of the 14 teams. The Purdue Invitational saw 3 Big Ten teams invited, and besides Purdue, it was Illinois and Minnesota. The Illini finished first, while Minnesota was tied for 5th. The host team, the Boilermakers, finished 8th. We're going to keep it right here and wrap up today's show back on the court, but with tennis. Number 3, Michigan continues to roll as they won 4-0 over both Indiana and Purdue. Similar results from 11th-ranked Ohio State defeating Northwestern 4-0 and Illinois 4-1. Number 19 Wisconsin was not treated great by the West Coast teams. They dropped both matches on the road. First 4-3 to 24th ranked UCLA, and then 4-1 versus USC, who is ranked 22nd. For USC, they also took down Minnesota 4-0 and finished the weekend 2-0. Also for UCLA, they defeated Minnesota, taking all the matches 4-0. The 21st ranked Washington Huskies went 2-0 on the week. First a non-con win versus Pepperdine 4-2, and then taking down Oregon at home 4-2. Just outside the top 25 is number 28 Iowa. They lost on the road in College Park 4-2, but bounced back, winning at Rutgers 4-1. And that's going to wrap up today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Big thanks to our producer, Colin Dusek, for making this all possible. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at B1G_under10. And come back next week for our next episode of Big Ten Under 10.